Hi guys, this is Melanie from the City of Port Huron Parks and Recreation Department, and welcome to our first installment of Urban Gardening. Now, I'm going to walk you through some steps of gardening, but before we start, I want you to know that I am not a master gardener at all. I've been gardening a long time, all my life. I've had successes and failures, but I'm not a master gardener, and guess what? You don't have to be one either to be successful at growing your own vegetables, okay? I always lived out in the country. I grew up out in the country. Even as a young adult, I lived in the country. But 10 years ago, I moved into the city of Port Huron. I have a tiny little yard, and I actually thought vegetable gardening was going to be over for me. But then I discovered raised bed gardening, and it's worked great here. I've had great success, some failures too, as that always happens. But it's just been so much fun, and I can't wait to show you what I got going on in my yard. Okay, you want to come join me? Hang on. Okay, so here we go, and here's my backyard. Boy, is it cold today. Okay, so teeny tiny, and there's where my raised beds are. Here's my little deck. Okay, so this is it. This is all I have for a backyard. Sorry, did I go too fast? So let's go over and look at these raised beds, but I don't want you to freak out and say, oh my gosh, look how many she has, and then what is that thing on top of one? And try to remember, this is many years of adding things. So I just started with this one raised bed, and it is kind of a bigger one. You don't have to do one this big at all. Let's go down here where you can see it better, okay? And so, you see what it is? It's just 4 pieces of wood connected in the corners. Now, very simple thing to do, you guys. We didn't dig up the sod, nothing, didn't disturb what was already there. All we did was lay down 2 layers of cardboard and put the wooden structure on top and filled it with organic compost and topsoil. Now I got the corner, you can see that that board is like starting to bow out, and so this one's 10 years old, at least 10 years old. The corner connections I got from my favorite gardening online place called Gardens Alive. Everything they have is organic and cool, and I'm going to try to give you a really good close-up look at it. You get this little corner thing, and then you just screw it in there. Oh, look, I got a maple tree growing. And screw it in there. And that's it. Oops, my hand. There. See how easy that is? You just slide the log in there. 2 important things I want to tell you about your first raised bed. The wood that you get needs to be untreated. So you don't want that pressure treated lumber at all, because as it rains and stuff, all that stuff will leach into your soil, and that's not what you want to eat. So just get cheapest wood you can find. I don't know what my husband got, but didn't spend a ton of money. And then these he put together, thank you Dale, with these kind of little hingy thingies. Isn't that a good technical term? You just put it on here, you screw here, and then screw on the sides. Does that make sense? Okay, where is it? There, see? And we put that on the top and the bottoms, so it won't get wonky on you. So just make yourself a little raised bed. Like I said, lay the cardboard down. And by the way, you want to do cardboard, not something else. I made the mistake of putting landscape cloth under one once, and then my carrots couldn't grow long, and I didn't know at the time that cardboard worked so well. And what it does is it attracts worms, which you desperately need. You need worms to aerate your soil, and they bring all kinds of beneficial stuff to it. But they love that cardboard. It's like sweet or something to them. I also have this other raised bed I want you to see that I grow my herbs in. And I just made this, whoops, I'm tripping. I just made this out of some old cinder blocks that I had laying around. I actually saw this on Pinterest. And isn't that cool? Same thing, cardboard down. When I put my cardboard down, by the way, I make sure it comes out to, I'll show you with my foot, like to about here, all the way around. And that just keeps your grass from growing back in there. The great thing about using these things too is, see these like pockets in here? You can grow things in there if you're concerned about them running. Like I love mint. Boy, that stuff will take off on you. I made that mistake. You make a lot of mistakes gardening, but that's kind of how you learn. So my first year I planted mint in this bed, and the next year I had mint everywhere. So how I do this one is in 3 different beds. Can you kind of tell? This is where I plant veggies. This is my path to walk up. Then I have a second bed, another path, and a third bed. When you come back next week, I'll tell you what's growing here, because it's one of my very favorite things. Now, what size bed? Just start with whatever you want to start with. This took 1,000,000 bags of soil to fill, so maybe you want to do something smaller. This is a great size right over here. Here's the last bed that we built. And I grew potatoes in there and they did really well. Maybe you just want to do that size. Other thing I want to tell you that's so important is, where am I going to put my raised bed? And this would be a terrible mistake if you did it. You need to watch your lawn, and this is what I did. I watched my area here for a whole day because I know I have to have at least 6 hours of sunlight. And you can see right here a ginormous pine tree. So that bad boy shades this whole end of the garden all morning. So I watched and watched and watched. Nevertheless, these beds still get, these 2 beds over here still get 6 hours of sunlight. So that's the 2 things I want to tell you to make sure you know about. One is that I'm getting 6 hours of sunlight. 2, that you don't use treated lumber. Okay, guys? All right, so can you believe that this all used to be grass in here, these paths, and I used to have to get a lawnmower? You can maybe hear my neighbor is mowing right now. Try to get a lawnmower down through there. And finally I thought, why can't I use that same cardboard idea? Because digging up all this sod was not sounding enjoyable to me. So I hoarded cardboard, which I constantly do. I've got a hoard of it in my garage right now. And just started. Laid down cardboard all the way through here on top of the grass. And my husband helped me, and we came through and just piled and piled and piled the mulch. And then the other thing that we kind of do is we put this edging on here. You've seen this rubber tube edging. It's really inexpensive. It goes down deep enough that for the most part it keeps the grass from coming through. Here's some trying though. No, you can't live here. But I can tell you, for the most part, I do nothing to this path and it stays great. Did the same thing over here. So I have 5 beds now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And some were more successful than others. This one right here, I can tell you, is not a great size. And maybe you can't tell from this picture, but it's almost square. And it's really too wide to work in, which is why, see that board right there? I use that and I lay it across the center of this so that I can reach in there if I need to weed or mess with anything, because I don't like to stand on my soil. You've got these beautiful raised beds, so I don't like to compress my soil, and I'm a little fussy about that. So we made it work. But I would say if you're gonna build a bed, build it narrower so you can reach all the way, at least to the center from each side. Okay, guys? Well, you can see that I've kind of jammed some of these in here just because I don't have a lot of space. And don't hesitate to think that I'm not thinking about adding another bed, because I totally am. Get my husband on board though. He loves all this growing stuff too. At another time, I'll tell you about this cage that we built over top, because we live in squirrel heaven. So if you live in the city, you know what I'm talking about. And I'll show you, see that fence post right there? That is the favorite spot for squirrels to sit and eat my green tomatoes they just plucked. Yeah, I've watched them do it many, many times. Here's something else that we added down the road. Well, I've got honeysuckle here. I had my first hummingbird last year. But I always grow my cucumbers right here, and they grow right up that wall and over the fence. I grow them vertically because it just works great, the space that I have here, not very much up. Okay, so I hope that helps you. Oh, and next week when you come back, we're going to talk about the stuff that's currently growing here, because I haven't planted anything yet. So the stuff that you see growing came back from last year. And the word for that is, it's a perennial. Okay, if it has to be planted every year, it's called an annual. Like I said, I'm not a master gardener, so if you're looking for botanical names of things, you're probably not going to have that happen for you with me. But something really, really cool happened in my garden last summer, and it has to do with the plant that's growing in here. Let me see if I can get to it. This is not a perennial. It's an annual, but the seeds dump all over, and it always comes back for me every year. At least it has. So let's see. Ooh, it still looks shady there. Let's see. I'm going to try to show you it close up, because it's coming in heavy duty all along here. I got something really, really cool happening with this plant. Do you know what it is? All right. I'm not telling. You have to come back next week. All right, guys. So I really want you to try gardening with me, because I know you're going to love it. If you want to build a small raised bed, do it. Put some cardboard down, put your frame on top, fill it full of organic dirt, and we'll be ready to go. I plant my garden usually June 1st or right around there, not before. Guess why? I have been burned so many, literally burnt by frost. So many times living in Michigan, and you know what it's been like here lately. Holy moly. So glad I don't have anything in yet. And every year my husband, is it now? Is it now? He loves planting this stuff with me too. I'm like, no, we have to wait or it'll all go to waste. In fact, even last year we planted June 1st and we had to redo our carrots because they got totally burnt, little baby plants by frost. Okay, so get yourself ready. Even if you don't want to put up sides, you could put some cardboard down and dump some great dirt on top of there. And you could grow some little things this very year. Let's do it. Let's do it together, okay? All right, I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.